We got Gators Breakdown here. We know we're business.
Gators Breakdown, because there's never a dull moment in Gator Nation.
The Gators Breakdown podcast is ready to go. I am your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Back from Gainesville after the orange and blue game. Orange 38, blue 38, orange 29. Let me get that right one more time. Blue 38, orange 29, orange and blue game. And the basketball celebration, national champions being celebrated at halftime of the game. It was a really, really good ceremony there. I hope you guys got to see it. Of course, I know you couldn't watch the game, so one reason I wanted to come with the recap here and recap the game, I'll go pretty much drive by drive with this one. You know, I always wrestle with that because I know it can become monotonous or a little boring, especially with a game you've already watched during even the regular season. But I know when Florida wins, you really don't mind it as much because you get to relive all those moments. But for the spring game this year, of course, it was not televised or streamed, so I'll go through it for you. Offense heavy, as you 38-29, there's your score. So, you know, it's a spring game, guys. Take that as you want. Now, the last couple of spring games under Billy Napier, or a few spring games, it's been more of a defense fest there for the spring game. This one, much more offense than we've seen without quarterback DJ Lagway for the most part. He's just out there handing the ball off. So I was wondering if we might get a surprise throw or something, but no, not the case. Not the case. DJ Lagway out there just handing the ball off, and still the offensive line and a running back group that was able to just kind of funny. When Lagway was out there, the defense knows it. It's going to be a run play, and the offensive line and running backs took over anyway. So that was kind of the storyline of the spring game. Some young standouts. Last year, we got Jaden Ball as a freshman standout. Dallas Wilson at the wide receiver was the standout for this one. So that's kind of the story of the game. Well, like I said, we'll get into it. We'll get into some stats. But guys, it's a spring game, and it's a catch-22. If the offense does good, it means the defense wasn't as good. Billy Napier even said it after the game. Hey, look, the defense didn't get off to the best start. Weren't necessarily ready to play. A ton of injuries. Even DeAndre Robinson, another defensive lineman, went down early. Didn't seem like anything serious as far as Billy Napier was talking about after the game. So defense was a bit beat up. And so, but you still had the Tyreek Sapp out there, Miles Graham, Jaden Robinson, LJ McCray for that orange defense that was going to be against the blue offense. And the blue offense with DJ Lagway, Aiden Warner, the starting offensive line, starting running backs, Jacoby Jackson, Jaden Ball. There no Trey Wilson on offense there. We'll get into it, but that was pretty much what it was. The blue offense was the number one offense. The orange defense was number one defense. But like I said, even take that for what it's worth with so many injuries. Younger guys having to step up and play past kind of the first couple of drives. Some guys who I don't even think are going to play in the season are in the lineup. Your lineups aren't the same as you want them to be. That's just what it is. You guys know what a spring football game is like. So I can't tell you how to react to it. I think it's great to see the offense go out there and do what they did. Of course, with the defense, it is that they had trouble stopping the run a bit. You're passing as well. But yeah, I'm looking at that number one defense. A little bit, no Caleb Banks out there. So, of course, Jamari Lyons coming back from injury too. So it's just, just take it for what it's worth. Take it for what it is. Right there, we'll get into it. Of course, it was brought to you by Florida Victorious, and a great event there about Florida Victorious, floridavictorious.com. Join now if you want to help support these student athletes. Of course, the big $1 million donation by Gary Condren last week to the basketball program on the heels of their national championship. Great events on Friday night, right after the orange and blue game, of course. Woo, that was a fun event. That was a fun event, being on the field with a bunch of fans. A bunch of fellow fans in the line, and of course Coach Napier and DJ Lagway having the longest lines out there. And DJ Lagway's line went That's about as long as you thought it would. It was. There were still people there when I left, so I could get back here in time a bit. But a very long line waiting for DJ Lagway and a lot of other players as well. So glad for that. Glad to meet a lot of you before the game and after the game during the Florida Victorious autograph signing meet and greet session there. So everybody who stopped by and said hello. We were at the Hot Top show just for a little bit. Saw some of you there as well. Hey, thanks for, if you ever see me there, don't be shy. Tell me hello. We'll have a little short conversation there. So, but it was fun. Glad everybody who, came and said hello did so. You're doing that's appreciated. It really is. I don't take this for granted, and I'm reminded of it when we go in kind of that setting there, that it's good seeing you guys. So, hey, if you're listening to this or watching this, I don't really know. And of course, it's on a Saturday, so thanks for one thing. I wasn't really sure when I was going live. I thought about going live from the stadium, but it was just a lot going on, and not feeling the pollen around, all that good stuff. So I wanted to get home in my setting. It was going to be a whole lot easier this way, but lots to get into here for the spring game. So if you were there, you kind of know a lot of this. If you weren't there, you might have been following along on social media and stuff, or at least for most of the first half. They're on Gators Breakdown Plus. I was doing the drive-by-drive update there, so you would have got most of the first half right there. Of course, probably the better half of the spring game. But you get extra episodes there, the Discord access, so you can have chats right there. And we'll try to do some other things coming up on Gators Breakdown Plus as the spring winds down for some more content on that side of things. Q&A style, all that good stuff. Gators Breakdown Plus, link is in the description. But, yeah, lots to get into there with the spring game, but you could have called up. You could have been called up there just a little bit. Let's see. Let me get into some comments before we go. Ben Simmons, Gator boys stay hot. Yeah, that was fun. At halftime, honoring that team. They got to come out of the tunnel like the football team does. It was like a starting lineup for those guys coming out of there. So that was a lot of fun to see. I was right there, right where they were coming out. Me and Neil Blackman there. So that was a good bit of time, a good fun time watching those guys come out. And then, of course, the kind of Q&A session there with Sean Kelly. Todd Golden getting to speak there and do some things. The team getting to see the banner that's going to be hanging there in the O-Dome with the 2025 year on it. So really, really good stuff. That was a good time. Glad those guys got to be commemorated. Hopefully they're not done. But Todd Golden did say in a press conference afterwards that today was going to pretty much be the last day that all those guys were going to be together. Some guys going on and prepping for the NBA and some other things. So today was actually going to be the last day that team was together. So, man, as I talked about on the podcast the last couple of weeks, I just like that group of guys. And that's the bad thing about Monday night is that's the last time we got to see that team play together. And thankfully, they're hoisting that trophy. But that was such a fun team to watch. Good group of guys. It couldn't happen to a better group of guys, and we get to see it every time they speak on camera or on campus, or no matter what they're doing, you can just see it. And I mean, they got to be exhausted. I'm exhausted just from Monday night, but I can just imagine them and all the cheering and going here and there. And Walter Clayton on Friday was up in New York, I believe, doing Good Morning America on ABC. He was on ESPN. Here he is in Gainesville again on Saturday. It's just been a whirlwind for me, so I can just imagine how much it is for them. And I'm glad I got to celebrate those guys one more time. Rob Little, Aiden Mizell did score, Rob, so we'll get into that here in just a second. Polar to Smooth, really hoping Dallas Wilson is part of the 98% of players we're retaining for the spring portal. Billy Napier did say that after the game when asked about, roster. Because we all know about the Nico Iamaleava situation there at Tennessee, him hitting the transfer portal, not showing up to practice one day before their spring game. And so a lot's going into, not televising a spring game as well because of who can see your roster and who might leave after a spring. And Billy Napier said after the game, hey, look, we got 98% of the players good to go. Paul, I don't think you have to worry about Dallas Wilson in that regard. So we're good there. We're good there. Certainly showed out. We'll get into that, but yeah, it's and one of the other, like put it in the title, one of the other updates, and maybe we'll come and circle back around to this. DJ Lagway on schedule. Billy Napier did say, of course, that he thinks, or he just came out and said, not he thinks, he's come out and said DJ will be throwing in a couple of weeks, and then expects him to be a full go by June OTAs. So there's your DJ Lagway update. Did not see him throw at the spring game there on this Saturday, but an encouraging update there from Billy Napier on DJ Lagway. So, of course, a lot of reports coming out in the last couple of weeks or so about will he need surgery, will he not need surgery, is there a timeline for surgery? Of course, some behind-the-scenes conversation, too, of what's actually wrong or how serious is it, how not serious is it. Well, from the head man himself, after the orange and blue game, Billy Napier saying a couple of weeks he'll be throwing, a couple of months when fall camp's going to be getting underway OTA style. Billy Napier expects DJ Lagway to be a full go. Let's see. Ex-Gator says, I was going to go, but I messed my knee up last night. Looks like I missed a wild one. Yep. Christian Jones saying, looking forward to this episode. Thank you much. Bernard, hey, man. I missed you today, of course, at Harmonic Woods. Good. Says Gator Day. What's up, man? Hope you're doing good. I am doing good. Octopal Jazz says the amount of points reminded me of some of the Spurrier teams, but a little concerned about the defense. I don't know. It's just we've talked about all the injuries in the secondary. No Bryce Thornton there either. After those names I mentioned earlier, no Pup Howard, all that stuff. So I mean, I don't know. It's just hard to get concerned. I get it. It's just hard to know what to take away from a spring game, good or bad. I've seen it both. Things look great in the spring game. We don't see it in the season. Things look bad in the spring game. It's not so bad when you get to the season. So we'll see. Five Adams says, how did the offensive line look past blocking? The starting offensive line, pretty good. Pretty good in my opinion. Bryce Levitt there at right tackle. We'll get into some of the plays there, but yeah, Barber there at left. But the offensive line pretty much like you expect it to look. A lot of talent there at Gatorville, of course. Yeah, thanks for hopping in. Excitement is in the air. I think I did see a lot of tweets coming out during the spring. Yeah, there's a lot of talent on this team. The expectations maybe going a little bit too far just because of a spring game. The spring game shouldn't really change your mind. I don't think. Whatever you probably thought Friday night is what you should be thinking Saturday night, no matter what you saw on Saturday. I think we can get excited for a couple more players, of course. And I did go back to it a year ago in a Jaden Ball and showing out. But we've seen that before, and guys not show up in the fall. Hopefully that's not the case this year. Maybe it's a repeat of last year when you get a standout freshman performance like we saw Jaden Ball last year. Dallas Wilson this year. Vernell Brown III showed some good things as well. Hilton Drake Stubbs. Up and down day for the young guy. We just talked about all the points the offense scored, but showed some flashes there to Hilton Drake Stubbs. And definitely a magnet for the ball. He is around the ball. I'm going to give him that. Let's see. All right. Tyler says, did Katie Daniels do well today? I don't even remember seeing Katie Daniels out there. I don't think. Hold on, I got stats up. I don't think. Let's see. He even got a carry. So for the orange team, no, and don't think so for the blue team. Yeah, he did not. So not a lot of for the blue team. It was just Jacoby Jackson and Jaden Ball. On the orange team, let's see. Kelvin Jimenez, Duke Clark, they're the freshmen. I thought did some nice things. I like what I saw from him as a freshman running back. Anthony Rubio. So, yeah, not a whole lot for the orange rushing. Orange was more passing there with Harrison Bailey as the quarterback. And the blue team there with Aiden Warner as the quarterback. All the passing going along with him, of course, because no DJ Lagway throwing. All right, let's get to it there. And let's go. I'll go drive by drive. Hopefully it's not too boring for you guys going kind of through the play-by-play. I'm going to do the best I can to liven it up, but let's get to it. The Orange team, I remember they did this last year as well, and I can't remember years before that, but the Orange team started with 3 points due to a team competition period they won on Thursday. So the game started 3-0 Orange team. There you go. So the blue team got the ball first. Lagway did suit up. He was out there in the black jersey, did take the first snap of the game. You had a run play of Jacoby Jackson for 7 yards on the first play of the game. So I thought there might be a nice surprise in the very first play of the game. There's a Lagway throw. I'd be like, oh, there it is. And no, and that doesn't really concern me at all, especially after the update after the game. But Jacoby Jackson run for 7 on the very first play was going to be a pretty good indication of what that offensive line and what the running backs were going to do for this blue offense. So Lagway off, Aiden Warner comes in. Warner comes in and throws a screen to Vernell Brown to third, so we see him early in 15 yards right there. So ball is near midfield already. And then you get Warner to J. Michael Sturdivant to the right for a 29-yard gain all the way down to the 13. Then you get a toss right to Jaden Ball for 5. Ball for 3, and now it's 3rd and 3 at the 12. Another ball run for 4, so it's first down to the 8. First and goal. Warner play action bootleg to Hayden Hanson and a touchdown. So the opening possession of the orange and blue game, blue team scored 7 plays, 70 yards, 7-3 blue team. As I mentioned, Harrison Bailey, he leads the orange offense out. He has a swing pass to Duke Clark for 5 yards to the 35. And a carry for Clark for 4 sets up a 3rd and 1 at the 39. Clark for 4 and a first down to the 43. Some nice runs by him, some push from this offensive line as well. Duke Clark, to me, he showed some nice patience for a freshman running back. I won't really say reminiscent of what we saw from, sorry guys, my nose is itching after being outside in that pollen all day. I won't say reminiscent of Jaden Ball last year. Not maybe quite that burst, but to me showed just, I think, really outstanding patience for a young guy. There for Duke Clark. I like what I saw from him. So some nice push by him in the offensive line. Next play, Bailey has to scramble as he can't find anybody open. Then a gain of 2. On that, as he can't find anybody open, he gains 2 yards. So a 2nd 8. Rubio gets that carry around left edge for 5-yard gain. So it's 3rd and 3 at midfield. Bailey finds Duke Clark again on an angle route for a gain of 8. So right there at 3rd and 3, you get 8 yards and it's a first down. Very next play, Bailey with a great throw to TJ Abrams, and it's dropped for about a gain of 15. I mean, Bailey all day to me showed some really nice touch on some throws. I like what I saw from Harrison Bailey. I like what I saw from Aiden Warner too, honestly. But Harrison Bailey, his ball placement. He impressed me with some of his ball placement. And it started early in this TJ Abrams pass. It got dropped. As I said, it would have been about a gain for 15. Then the very next play, pass is batted away by freshman Shivers, the defensive lineman Shivers. So then it's 3rd and 10 at the 38. And Bailey rifles it in there to Abrams. Abrams can't hang on to it again. It's picked off by true freshman Drake Stubbs. So return 15 yards to the blue 45. As I said, I mean, Bailey just rifled it in there. He had to, given the coverage, given the route. Abrams can't hang on. Ball's batted up in the air a bit. Hilton Drake Stubbs in his first orange and blue game gets an interception. DJ Lagway chops back out, hands off to Jacoby Jackson for 6 yards. So as I mentioned, the very first play of the game, Lagway hands off to Jackson. Everybody knows it's probably going to be a run, especially the defense. They know he's not passing. It was a 7-yard gain. This very first play of the second drive, Lagway's handing off to Jacoby Jackson. It's a 6-yard gain. They're knowing the run's coming. Offensive line really, really had some nice push with this blue team offense. Jackson gets the first down on the next play with a gain of 6 to the orange 43. Then it's another play action rollout, and nothing this time for Warner. So he runs for 5, so that sets up a 2nd and 5. Ball gains 3 to set up a 3rd and 2 at the 35. Warner screen to Vernell Brown. Another screen to Vernell Brown. He makes some defenders miss. Gains 12 to the 23. So pretty good. You could see it. Really could see the early plan to get the ball out of Warner's hands and get it to Vernell. Get Vernell Brown, on third down, starting two. It's a screen to Vernell Brown. Teams might think stack the middle, stop the Florida run game, swing it out to Vernell Brown, make some defenders miss. He gains 12. Florida's got the ball all the way down to 23. Miles Graham eventually tackles him. Warner misfires the ball over the middle. It was tight coverage. And then, very next play, big Jacoby Jackson run for 23-yard touchdown. He's making defenders miss. He sheds a tackle from Cormani McLean. Jackson so far through 2 drives looking really, really good. A 7-play, 55-yard drive. It's 14-3 blue team. Tank Hawkins on the ensuing kickoff had a big return. It was just called back. I think Napier wanted the offense to do some things. Tank Hawkins probably make something happen in a real scenario with that. So he would have had a big punt return or a big kick return. But Napier wanted the offense on the field. So Bailey, it's a play action rollout for him this time. And here we go for the first time. Dallas Wilson with a 31-yard gain to the blue 39. Great touch throws, I mentioned. Hopefully, go on the Florida Gators official account. You'll see some highlights there. And just look at some of those Harrison Bailey throws. I mean, like I said, there's some good catch. And we'll get through it too here in a bit. But Dallas Wilson, he's the real deal. We're going to get through it. And you're going to hear some of these stats. He's the real deal, guys. Yes, he's going to replicate what Jaden Ball did last year in the spring and then become a factor in the fall. So after that great touch throw, next play, Bailey just misses Wilson down the left sideline for a deep ball that would have been completed at the 5-yard line. If he would have been able to catch that, he had some coverage on him, but he probably gets to the end zone anyway. 2nd and 10 after the incompletion, Duke Clark for 5 yards. Like I said, patient runner. Good. He's good. He was really good at stretching out runs. That's what I really like seeing from Duke Clark as a young guy too. I mean, I'll hit the patience word one more time, but as a true freshman having that patience, and as I said, staying behind his blocks, he'd stretch out the run. I like what I saw from the young guy. That sets up a 3rd and 5 at the 34, and Bailey gets sacked by Jalen Wiggins. There we go, another name we were hearing about this spring. Jalen Wiggins. One of the young freshmen. I mean, look, guys, that's another thing about this spring game. I've mentioned Dallas Wilson. I mentioned Duke Clark. Here's another, Jalen Wiggins. It was a good platform. It was a good showcase for the young guys, for the freshmen out there. Vernell Brown III. I mean, I've mentioned 4. Drake Stubbs. I've mentioned 5 freshmen in just the first few drives here making plays. We knew how important this recruiting class was. It was a class that ended up ranked 7th. Here we are in spring football practice. Here we are in the orange and blue game. And I've mentioned 4 or 5 freshmen in just the first couple of drives for each team. This time, Jalen Wiggins with a sack. So, yeah, like I said, there was the name. There was the name right there. So the blue team starts on their own 12-yard line after that. Aiden Warner can't hit Sturdivant down the field. It wasn't really a great throw. Then he bounces back and just rifles one into, and here we go, DeBron Hampton. That's broken up by Devin Moore. But as I said, there's a name early in the game already that, DeBron Hampton, it's good for him for getting playing time out there, but that's the spring game format we're in. So you're talking about guys and not really knowing how the roster is going to be set up, how the teams are going to be set up. I mean, there we go. There's a good example of that. But I like Aiden Warner. He did have more zip on the ball to me today, and he was able to make some tighter throws there. I'm not really, I'm not trying to talk him up and, trying to sell you on guys. I think he showed better today. And one more time, it is a spring game format, so he probably should look better in this format. But I thought did some things that looked better than what we saw last year when he was thrust into action. So that was the DeBron Hampton broken up by Devin Moore. So it was a 3rd and 10. And then a dump off to Jaden Ball here that he takes 48 yards after a great catch and run to the orange 40-yard line. You could tell it's 3rd and 10. Let's just get the ball out of Aiden Warner's hands. Jaden Ball's right there to his left, dump off, and Jaden Ball does the rest. 48 yards to the orange 40-yard line, where Jacoby Jackson just explodes up the middle, untouched, 40-yard touchdown for Jacoby Jackson. 4 plays, 88 yards, 21-3 blue team. Orange team takes over, and Tramel Jones. Here we go. Hey, another true freshman. Said a lot of true freshmen so far, hadn't I? Let me take a swig of water. Here we go. Tramel Jones in for the orange team, and he finds Dallas Wilson, and this is the first time I'm going to mention it. A nice adjustment catch. It was a good throw by Tramel Jones, don't get me wrong. But for Dallas Wilson to make that catch, there was good coverage there over Michael Carraway. Dallas Wilson, just a nice adjustment. Good catch down to the blue 46. Duke Clark, nothing doing on his next play, so a 6-yard pass on the next play caught over the middle by Micah Jones. And then Aaron Childs just lays him out right after the catch. That sets up a 3rd and 2. Tramel Jones has to scramble for no gain, so it's a 4th and 2 at the 38. They're going for it, and probably would have been a big play. Tramel Jones, his pass is just behind a streaking Duke out of the backfield. So Duke Clark coming out of the backfield, and I thought he had a pretty good bead on his defender, and the pass is just behind him, but he just comes streaking out of the backfield. So the 4th down conversion is failed. So Lagway comes back in. The blue team at their own 38. He hands off to Jacoby Jackson. 9-yard gain. So, defense knows it's coming. They still can't stop it. Warner comes back out and rifles one to third event where Cormani McLean breaks it up. Tight coverage there. What you like to see. Jacoby Jackson gets a toss for 8 and a first down around the right edge, all the way down to the orange 45. Jaden Ball rushed for 10 to the 35 and a first down. Warner has to get rid of the ball in the next play. Pressured by Jaden Woods. Later, it's 3rd and 8 after a 2-yard ball run. Warner keeps the play alive, scrambles right to find Vernell Brown III coming back to him for a gain of 9 and a first down to the 24. So 2 things I like there. Warner keeping the play alive, and then Vernell Brown III, a true freshman, fighting back as his quarterback's in trouble, as Warner's keeping the play alive, comes back to his quarterback. And now you have a 3rd down conversion right there. It's 3rd and 8. Vernell Brown comes back to his quarterback, and then it's a gain of 9. Smart-heady play there of Vernell Brown III. So that's the first down to the 24. Jaden Robinson, the linebacker, he gets his hand on the next pass, so it's 2nd and 10. And then Warner finds Aiden Mizell on an out route to the left sideline. It's almost picked off. The defender goes for it. He misses it. Mizell catches it at the 19. There's no one else around him after the defender misses the pick. And Mizell runs it in for a 24-yard touchdown catch and run. 28-3 blue team. So at this point, we get the notification that we can head down to the field for the basketball celebration. As I said, one more time, I thought it was very special. Got to be right there in front of the team as that celebration was taking place. Just great to see, all the fans, about 55, 60,000 fans. That was one reason. I know there was a lot of consternation about why do it, during the. Look, there was going to be a lot of fans there, and I think you're trying to play them. I think you're trying to please fans at the same time. And I think, to me, I know, Micah Hanlockton, he had a tweet about it and didn't like it. And I was talking to Neil Blackman about it, and, Neil Blackman's, he covers Florida football too. But, of course, more known for his basketball coverage, and he had no problem with the basketball team getting celebrated here. And I didn't either. It was you were going to have a ton of fans. There was going to be a lot of people celebrating this team. Now, I wouldn't mind something else, but I like this as well. There's another parade or something, fine, let's do it. But I did think something like this should have happened with a lot of fans being in town at the same time. So, but we get the notification that we can go down there. So I'm missing some plays, and I go back. So if you weren't able to see it, I took the summary there from the drive summary that Florida gave us. So this is the last 2 minutes of the first half. It was highlighted by a 15-yard catch and run by, guys, here we go, another true freshman. Nashawn Montgomery gets into the action right here. So the 3 freshman receivers that we've been hearing about since they signed at Florida, we've been hearing about all workouts, all spring long, of these guys are really living up to the billing. There they are, all in the first half, with not their main quarterback, not DJ Lagway throwing the ball, Aiden Warner throwing the ball, Harrison Bailey throwing the ball. But here we are ending the first half. Nashawn Montgomery gets in on the mix. 15-yard catch for him. And then on the very next play, a 13-yard catch by Dallas Wilson. So the orange team's driving here finally. And this freshman receivers getting passes from Harrison Bailey. So they get down to the blue 28. And eventually, it's 4th and goal from the 1-yard line. Duke Clark, another freshman, finished off the drive for the first orange touchdown of the first half. First half comes to a close, 28-10 blue. But just on that drive, guys, a drive where they're trying for points. It's right before first half. It's a game-like situation where you're going to want to put up points. Billy Napier thought it was big going into their halftime, where Nashawn Montgomery, a true freshman, is making the play. Dallas Wilson's making the play. Duke Clark finishes it off. So 3 true freshmen on one drive here at the skill player spots. Of course, it was hard, especially for that drive. It was hard with all the newness and everything that was going on today, of picking out who was along the offensive line a lot of the time, especially for the orange team. They were the second. Of course, Caden Jones, Westfall in that group. They're along with the offensive line. So, unfortunately, I did ask. They're not going to put the game out. They didn't broadcast it live, so it doesn't really make much sense to still put it out. I wish they would. Don't get me wrong, but if they're not going to stream it live, why would they put out the replay? So it just kind of it wouldn't make any sense to do that. Might as well just air it live if you're going to put a replay out. I did ask if they were going to. They told me no. So there you go. So can't really go back and watch. If maybe there's some, like I said, the highlights that Florida has put out there, we can garner some of who was out there on offensive line and defensive line and the like. Hard to really keep up. I mean, spring games are hard to keep up with anyway because of who's coming in, who's coming out, and all the backups that get in. So hopefully some way we can dive in deeper at some point. But it's about as good as you're going to get today. So after that, the Orange Ball does get the ball to start the second half. Early in the drive, Dallas Wilson. I'm still trying to work my way back up to the press box at this point, so I go back and looking at the drive chart here. Early in the drive, Dallas Wilson has a 12-yard catch over the middle to the 45-yard line. Later in the drive, Orange has the ball 1st and 10 at the Blue 40, and Blue gets back-to-back sacks. Guys, guess what? It's a true freshman. This is Ty Jackson getting a sack on first down. And then Kofi Asari, a new face, not a true freshman, but a new face through the transfer portal, he gets a sack on second down. So, like I said, Orange has the ball 1st and 10 at the Blue 40. They cross midfield. Ty Jackson gets a sack. Kofi Asari gets a sack. So it's 3rd and 23 at the Orange 47 at that point. It results in a 15-yard catch from Dallas Wilson. And then Hilton Stubbs gets called for a horse collar tackle to keep the drive alive. Young freshman mistake. Dallas Wilson, good for him, a 15-yard catch. You fall. Of course, that's on 3rd down, so it's short. But Stubbs, buddy, you got to know better. And if the play's ending on the sideline, it didn't need to be done. I remember this now. Dallas Wilson catches it. He's near the sideline. All you got to do is push him out of bounds. Stubbs drags him out of that bounds by a horse collar. At first, I thought it was a face mask because I was kind of far away from it. Either way, it would have been a personal foul when you had him stopped on 3rd down to continue a drive. So learning moment there for Hilton Drake Stubbs. So then that was keeping the orange drive alive. Orange ball now at the blue 25. And then Bailey finds Tank Hawkins open in the middle of the field and in the end zone for a touchdown. 28-17 now in favor of the blue. Blue team has to punt on their next possession. Orange team has to punt as well after 1 first down in 4 plays. So we get back to the blue team. Lagway back out on offense, hands off to Jacoby Jackson. Looks like he stopped in a pile. And this is a drive that starts at the own 10-yard line. So DJ Lagway comes out. Probably going to be a run play. It is to Jacoby Jackson. As I said, it looks like he stopped in a pile. And then out of nowhere, bust out of the pile, 90-yard touchdown run for Jacoby Jackson. Up to this point, he's been a monster. This is just an exclamation point on the day. 1 play, 90-yard touchdown run, 35-17 blue team. I did catch a replay of this one. Bryce Lovett, Roderick Kearney, Jake Slaughter, Cam Waits, Austin Barber is your offensive line. Amir Jackson was at tight end to Barber's left, over by Barber. He gets a good initial push. Now, this was a Jacoby Jack. Like the offensive line got pretty good initial push. I like what I saw from Amir Jackson on this one play. I can't remember who he was blocking at the time. But Amir Jackson's at tight end. And one of our biggest questions about him is we know he can catch the ball. That's what he was known for as a tight end coming out, and a former receiver coming out of high school. It's about can he block. In this one instance, on a 90-yard touchdown run, I thought he did pretty well. The offensive line, this starting offensive line, this wasn't one of their better blocking plays. As I said, it was a pile. And then all of a sudden, Jackson just scoots out, and there he is, 90-yard touchdown. So it was just another statement play by Jacoby Jackson and this Florida offensive line. But, yeah, you could just tell. The running game was on it today and really led by Jacoby Jackson. Next drive, for the orange team, they'll get the ball back, of course. Next drive, there's a great sideline pass from Bailey to Dallas Wilson for 20 yards. It's a great throw to where only Wilson can get it. He shows great body control to twist and catch and keep his feet in bounds at the blue 45. And that's where I'll just go into it a little bit more. Dallas Wilson, for a true freshman, the body control, this is what I was hoping we were getting in him, is his, I don't want to call him a possession receiver, but he can be a possession receiver down the field. Like this is 20 yards down the field, and he's contorting his body, he's putting his hands in place, he's keeping his feet in bounds. That's what I hope we were getting when watching the film and seeing the analysis of a Dallas Wilson. That's exactly what we got. I mean, I thought he did. It was great body control all throughout the game. Harrison Bailey, I'm giving him some credit too now. He put these passes where it was only going to be Dallas Wilson getting it or nobody was getting it. So that was a good quarterback wide receiver combo today in the spring game. We'll get into some numbers in just a second to kind of extend this for Bailey and for Wilson. But you could tell he was a go-to guy. You could tell Bailey had a lot of confidence in getting Dallas Wilson involved and trusting Dallas Wilson to come down with the ball. That's what you want to see from a 5-star true freshman wide receiver. Now, Vernell Brown did some really good things too. I don't want to gloss over what Vernell Brown III was able to do. As I said, it was a couple of screens, and then I gave him a shout out for, as a true freshman, finding your quarterback. Your quarterback's rolling to his right. You're coming back to him to make sure he can see you, and you get a third down conversion. So I like what I saw in Nashawn Montgomery as well. And he had 3 catches for 70 yards today, along with 51. So all 3 of these guys showing some good things. But for Dallas Wilson, he set a record today, guys. We're going to get into that. He's setting records in his first orange and blue game performance. But first look, our first major look, he passes the test. And what we thought we were getting, that's what he showed today. Later on, Wilson breaks free from coverage, and Bailey finds him near the goal line where Stubbs can't close in time. Dallas Wilson catches a 20-yard touchdown 2-point conversion is good. So now we got a 10-point game. Touchdown Orange there. 35-25 blue team. So Lagway back out there to start this drive. It's a 2-yard run for Jaden Ball. Warner comes back out on the next play. Get to a 3rd and 1 at their own 39, and another ball run gets the first down after a gain of 1. Warner goes deep on the next play, and Cormani McLean is called for pass interference on J. Michael Sturdivant. Later on in the drive, Sharif Denson gets in and gets a sack on 3rd down. I wasn't sure we were going to see Sharif Denson all that much, but there he was. And he gets a sack on 3rd down. So pretty good to see, I think. You know, like I said, I wasn't sure we were going to see him, and his name is, you know, out there called for a sack. I said, okay, there we go. Sharif Denson getting in some action. I was trying to see if he was going to be in the. That's what was called over the PA in the press box, but I don't see him on the stat sheet. So maybe he didn't get in there. I'm going to have to see. I'm going to have to double check on that. But either way, it would be a DB that got the sack. Florida did rush and blitz Hilton Drake Stubbs a bit from when he was out there in that safety spot. So I like seeing that. Yeah, I don't see him. So maybe that one's wrong. No, never mind. Sharif Denson. There he is. Yeah, there he is. He was out there. He was out there. So when Sharif Denson gets that sack on 3rd down, it sets up Trace Mack to come out. 56-yard field goal try. It's good. 38-25 now for the blue team. Not much longer here for the game summary. Orange team start their own 30. Bailey finds Montgomery for a 51-yard catch and run to the 19. Very next play, Bailey zings one into Dallas Wilson over the middle in the end zone for a 19-yard touchdown. 38-32 blue team. 2:57 left. Bad thing about this, now Napier did say after the game they got out pretty injury-free. After that 51-yard touchdown, Montgomery did look like he fell on his shoulder. I did see him get carried to the locker room. He was holding his arm, so it looked like a possible arm or shoulder injury for him after that 51-yard catch. He was just being, he's kind of cradling his arm a little bit. He had a couple of trainers with him. They were taking him to the locker room. I meant to go look for him after the game during the Florida Victorious meet and greet. Wasn't able to go do that. So certainly, hopefully, everything is A-okay there. So, hey, if you were at the Florida Victorious event and saw him, let me know. So 2-minute offense coming up for Aiden Warner and the blue team with about 2:49 left. A 15-yard catch for Hayden Hanson to the 43. A Jaden Ball run on the next play for 14 to the orange 43-yard line. 2:01 left. Later on 2nd and 10, holding on Jake Slaughter of all guys. So come on, Slaughter. Come on, Jake. The All-American right there. Jake Slaughter. So holding on him, it backs up to the blue 43. Incomplete pass on the next play, and it's 3rd and 23 with 1:40 left. You got an empty set here. Warner has Sturdivant, but pass was behind him. I believe that was a... I forget what kind of pass that was. I was about to say slant, but I don't think it was. Anyway, it was an empty set. Warner couldn't find. It was the pass behind J. Michael Sturdivant. And then blue team has to punt. Orange team has a chance here. Orange ball with 1:28 left on their own 25. On 2nd down, Bailey finds Dallas Wilson again for 21 yards. So at this point, it is Wilson's 9th catch of the game. An orange and blue game record. There you go. For whatever that means to you. But true freshman making his first appearance in the public right here. In the mass public. Dallas Wilson sets an orange and blue game record with his 9th catch. 1:14 left at this point. Later on 3rd and 12, Bailey finds Tank Hawkins over the middle for a gain of 12. 51 seconds left. Later on 3rd and 5 from the blue 28, Bailey finds TJ Abrams for a 6 and a first down. 14 seconds left in the game. False start on 1st down, so it's 1st and 15 back at the 27. 2 incompletions lead to a 3rd and 15 with 4 seconds left back at the 27-yard line. This is another for Dallas Wilson, so his 10th reception, so he extends the record here. He catches it and runs for 22 yards, pushed out of bounds at the 6-yard line. Game over right there. 38-32, blue team. I think I said 38-29 earlier. I forgot about the 3 points. They didn't add that in the stats, but it was there on the scoreboard in the stadium. Either way, for that, so Dallas Wilson ends the game with that reception. It was 195 yards receiving for him. That ties a record. I believe Trevon Grimes, off the top of my head, it was said in 2019, had 195 in the Orange and Blue game that year as well. Let me get to the comments before we get to the stats right here. I see a good bit of them. Harrison says, do we really need to take anything we see in the spring game seriously, Dave? Maybe seriously is not the right word. I mean, a year ago, we should have taken what we saw from Jaden Ball seriously, right? So, but maybe seriously is not the right word. But still, I think, yeah, there are things you can take. We don't know if they're going to translate. I mean, a lot of times you don't really know till way down the road. Like, we didn't know what that meant for Jaden Ball. But the example I like to bring up a lot is, what was it? I remember we got excited for it. It was Luke Del Rio at quarterback, and he has a perfect game. It's like 15 of 15 or 17, something like that. Has this perfect spring game. It didn't mean a hill of beans when it came to the season. So you don't know what to take from it, honestly. So I hope we can take Dallas Wilson's second records in the spring game seriously. I hope the burst that I saw from Vernell Brown III catching those screens and making guys miss, I hope we can take that. I hope we can take this offensive line that has 4 or 5 starters returning and road grading the defense. I hope we can take that. But see, that was something we kind of expected anyway, though, right? So some things I think if you have this expectation going into a spring game and you get that, then I think, okay, I think you can take that to the season, and you can probably take that pretty seriously, too. Like, we know Florida's got some really good running backs in Jacoby Jackson and Jaden Ball. 4 or 5 starters on the offensive line returning. They got so much better at running the ball in the second half of the season. So, seeing that today, seeing it at the end of last season, I'm expecting that to be a serious factor for this team in the 2025 season. But it is hard to know. You can't take everything from it. I mean, I think we know that by now. Michael Elliott, how did LJ McCray and Cormani McClain look today? I thought Cormani was it was a mixed bag for Cormani. Early on, I saw him get physical, and he made a stop on Jaden Ball, Jacoby Jackson. I forget who it was. LJ McCray, let's see, stats: 2 total tackles. There were 2 solo. I didn't notice him much. He was on that first team defense that was out there just getting run all over. Him and Sat both were out there. And Billy Napier even said it. You know, they started slow on defense. LJ McCray, it was not all that noticeable out there today. Kimpo Karate says, not a big crowd. On the alumni side, it was good. Like I said, it was 50, 60,000. It was more so than they have had in the past at the spring games. I do know that much. Yeah, and Polar Smooth does say 56K in attendance today. Most since 2009. So, yeah, I know it had been quite some time. So, I've seen one. Like, it's the first time I've seen one that big at the spring game in a while, too. Bernard says, and I kind of went through this. Did you see anything today on the field that surprised you or were very happy to see? You know what? Let's just get into the stats a little bit. I guess that we can kind of tell that story through here. So Aiden Warner was 10 of 23. As I said, not terribly accurate, of course, 43%. 2 touchdowns, no interceptions. I thought, some of his, passes there to Vernell Brown III on that rollout. I did like that. So Vernell Brown III had 4 catches, 34 yards. So 10 of his completions were to Vernell Brown III, 2 were to Hayden Hansen. He had, like I said, the drop-offs to Jaden Ball for, 1 catch for 48 yards. So not a lot of downfield things for Aiden Warner. He did try, just not there. So, like I said, I did think there was a better zip on the ball than we saw at times last year. Overall, I do think Harrison Bailey, the stats bear it out too, played better overall. And as like I said, I mentioned I like the touch and how I think he approached the game. If we look at the orange or the blue offense here, Jacoby Jackson, 10 carries, 198 yards, 3 touchdowns. Like as I said, he had a 90-yard run, so of course his average is going to be pretty high. 19.8. I like what I saw from Jacoby Jackson, of course. I mean, that's nothing. That's not breaking any news here. Jaden Ball, 11 for 56, 5.1 yards a carry. So absolutely, I won't say that surprised me. I mean, I guess Jackson going for 10 carries, 198. I mean, having a 90-yard touchdown run, I mean, I don't care if it's in practice. I don't care if it's in the spring game. 90-yard touchdown run's hard to get. This is going as close to a game-like scenario as you're going to get. So, I mean, I wouldn't have been picking a 90-yard run. I am surprised Dallas Wilson showed what he showed. He showed what I hoped he would show. I didn't expect him to be that polished in the body control game. That's what really stood out to me for that young of a receiver. Orange passing, Harrison Bailey went 29 of 43, 363 yards, 3 touchdowns, 1 interception, 67% completion percentage. That 1 interception, as I mentioned, was a batted ball that came down to Hilton Drake Stubbs. Tramel Jones went 2 of 3 for 30 yards. As I mentioned earlier, Kelvin Jimenez there for the Orange team, 8 attempts, 27 yards. Duke Clark, 8 attempts, 25 yards. He had the 1 touchdown. So Orange team more reliant on the passing game from Harrison Bailey. Blue team more reliant on the Jacoby Jackson, Jaden Ball runs. So since Orange team was more known for their passing, I mentioned it for Harrison Bailey. Of course, his top target, Dallas Wilson, 10 catches, 195 yards, setting records right there. 2 touchdowns for him. He had a long of 31. He was targeted 13 times. He had 51 yards after the catch to Dallas Wilson. Vernell Brown III had 30 yards after the catch, by the way. Tank Hawkins, 4 catches, 48 yards. He had 1 touchdown. His was a long of 25. Scott Isaacs, 4 catches, 19 yards. Nashawn Montgomery, 3 catches, 70 yards. As I mentioned, that 51-yarder, of course. 38 yards after the catch for him. There's your highlights for the Orange team. Total yards. Blue team was 408. Orange team was 423. Not a lot of penalties overall. Let's see. Blue team 7 of 10 on third down. Orange team 11 of 17. 72 total plays for the Orange offense. 46 for the Blue. The Orange team 1.2 yards per rush. I mean, you're starting backs. No Trayon Webb today. As I mentioned, you had Duke Clark out there. There's the true freshman for the Orange team. No Katie Daniels out there either. So Jackson Ball both were on the Blue offense. So of course, your running is going to look better there. 5 sacks for the Blue defense. We'll get into that in just a second. Who those were? 6 tackles for loss for the Blue defense. 1 sack for the Orange. 3 tackles for loss for the Orange. Let's see how they're going to break this up. Yep. Blue defense. Ty Jackson, true freshman, leading the way with 11 total tackles. He had 2 tackles for loss. Drake Stubbs, 8 total tackles. So on the Blue defense, you were led by true freshmen in the tackle department. 11 for Ty Jackson, 8 for Drake Stubbs. Aaron Childs, 6 total tackles. One of the standouts for the Blue defense, transfer Kofi Asari. You heard me bring him up earlier. Kofi Asari, 5 total tackles, 3 of them solo, 2 sacks, 2 tackles for loss. Cam James, 5 total tackles, 2 of them solo, 1 sack, 1 tackle for loss. That's who held up your Blue defense for the most part. On the Orange defense, you had Miles Graham with 8 total tackles, Jaden Robinson with 8 as well. So both of the linebackers, Josiah Davis 3rd, Sharif Denson with 3, LJ McCray 2, Jordan Castell with 2, Cormani McLean with 2 as well. Tyreek Sapp had 2 tackles. Graham and Robinson, good for those guys, but a lot of that also, you want your linebackers to be, pretty high in tackles, but some of that was the running backs getting to them. The running backs were getting to the 2nd level. We're getting to the 3rd level on that Orange defense. Let's see. Have some notes here from the game as well, if I could find them. Let's see. Jacoby Jackson. It was an Orange and Blue game record in rushing yards for 198 yards on 10 attempts. Scored 3 times, tying the program record set by Seatric Face in 2004 for the Orange and Blue game. His 90-yard touchdown run was the longest in Florida spring game history. All 4 of the new Gator wide receivers caught a pass in the game, of course. Dallas Wilson leading all pass catchers with 195 yards. Wilson caught a 22-yard pass as time expired to tie the Florida spring game receiving record. 10 receptions for 195 yards and 2 scores, tabbed the most receptions and tied for the most receiving yards. So tabbed the most receptions, as I said, with 10 and tied for the most receiving yards. Deshaun Montgomery, as I mentioned, 3 for 70. Vernell Brown, 4 for 34. And J. Michael Sturtevant, only 1 for 29 yards. J. Michael Sturtevant was targeted. Let me see. He was targeted he was targeted 7 times. So I'm trying to remember some of those. I know the pass breakup on one of those. Then I think some, as I mentioned, Aiden Warner it was a throw behind him. So not all of them were great throws. So 7 targets there for J. Michael Sturtevant, only 1 reception. Harrison Bailey set an Orange and Blue game record with 363 yards passing, 3 touchdowns on 29 completions. The Team Blues 251 combined yards rushing are the most by a team in spring game history. With a combined score of 70 points, the 2025 iteration of the Orange and Blue game becomes the 2nd highest scoring Florida spring game of all time. And then the Drake Stubbs interception early in the game was the only turnover of the game. Jaden Ball led the game in yak with 52 yards after the catch. As I mentioned, that was that 3rd down dump-off pass to him. Let's see. Trying to go through some more. The Orange team, it was 11-8 on 3rd down. I already mentioned that one, didn't I? Okay. Good. Yeah, there we go. All your stats, all your notes right there for the Orange and Blue game. Really like that running back duo. Got some skill at receiver. I think I do feel better about the receiver position than I did coming into spring. Just kept hearing about these guys. J. Michael Sturtevant didn't really get to show it today, but heard a lot about him throughout spring of being that deep threat receiver. Liked what I saw from that receiver spot. Get DJ back in a couple weeks, of course, hopefully. Get that rapport with these receivers down. I like the potential of this offense. I like the potential of this team. I'm not letting what I saw in the spring game really hit me on the steps I think the defense is going to make as well. I think Florida's going to be a darn good team in 2025. If there's one thing that I probably feel better about than I did coming in spring, I think it's that receiver group. And it's not like I was too down on them. It was just, there's some new faces there. And the staff has, of course, done great through the transfer portal. So a guy like J. Michael Sturdivant, once we've seen what we saw with Pearsall and DK and Badger, okay, there's some confidence there. It was about really these three freshmen stepping up. And now this group of three is better than the Trey Wilson, Andy Jean, Aiden Mizell trio. We've only seen one of those guys do great things so far. That's Trey Wilson his freshman year. So we were excited about those three guys. But I think this trio here, Wilson, Montgomery, Brown, I think those guys are going to be on the field a good bit. I like what I saw from that group. I feel better from what we, Of course I was excited because it was one of the best receiver hauls in Florida in quite some time. How fast was it all going to come together? Like it was, are we really going to have worries about those guys in years 2 or 3? But what about year 1? Are they going to be able to live up to that reputation right away? First showing, orange and blue game, so far so good. A big question coming into the day and in spring too. I talked about it recently when we talked about wide receivers, those second-year guys. TJ Abrams and Tank Hawkins. Abrams had a rough day. Hawkins showed some nice things. Mizell, I will say, probably should have said this earlier, he was open a good bit today. He was open down the field. Didn't get many balls thrown his way. So whether it was quarterbacks just not seeing him or at that time a quarterback getting pressure, so not being able to get the ball off to him, there were times Aiden Mizell was open. Gator Tim says, was awesome to meet you today. Very gracious and approachable. Hey, Tim, man, thank you. Thank you so much. James 23 said, not gonna lie, think Tramel Jones is better than number 15. I like it was a little sample size. I liked what I saw from Tramel. I liked it too. 316 Fombi, yeah, hopefully I said that right. Wide receiver's amazing. Dallas is the real deal. Okay. Cooley brings up a good point. Yep. Napier did mention that too. Tackling was bad. Yep. And then that was a lot of what you saw for those running backs were able to do in the game. The tackling was pretty poor today. Did get better in the second half. But it was except for that Jacoby 90-yard run. Yeah. That was probably where. And Napier mentioned it was the secondary too, that he was really disappointed in the tackling department. Now, there's just your last line of defense, and you wish your defensive line and your linebackers would get it to a point where you're not relying on those guys so much of having to make that saving tackle. But yeah, Napier did mention that he did not like the tackling, especially in the secondary. Hollywood, good point. I completely agree. Jacoby Jackson looks faster than last year. I didn't know he had a 90-yard run in him. You're right there. You're right there. Andre Moore, 3 freshman receivers are as advertised. But rolling 71, I feel good about Harrison Bailey as quarterback too. Will allow Tramel Jones to redshirt. After what I saw today, and look, I thought when he was brought in as the transfer quarterback that I thought he would be the number 2. Yeah. Yep. I like what I saw from him. As I said, I mean, hopefully we never see him except in mop-up duty in wins. I don't want mop-up duty in losses, but mop-up duty in wins. So hopefully Florida's got a big lead. DJ Lagway can take some rest. I mean, in a way, I hope we do see Harrison Bailey, but it needs to be in that circumstance. I don't want it to be in any other circumstance. But it was a different mention. It's been quite some time since we've seen an offensive explosion in a spring game like this. good to see for a change. What does it mean? As I said, take it for what it's worth to you. You might be right. I might be right. She might be right. He might be right. We don't know what to take away from it. It's hard to know what to take away from it. Like Colton's asking the question, like it's hard to answer. I mean, Billy Napier even said it too after the game. But that's spring game for you. Should we be concerned with how easily both squads seem to move down the field on offense? Is our defense in trouble this year? I don't think so. I mean, it's a spring game. I mean, I'm glad the offense showed some things. I don't think it necessarily means your defense is in trouble. I guess, like I said, it's in the eye of the beholder. It really is. If the defense had shut down the offense, then is the offense in trouble? I mean, I don't know how you show great balance in the spring game. Is that even possible? Kind of going to that same thought. Michael Dixon says, I'm just glad the offense is moving the ball without Lagway. Got to tell you something. Defense will be elite. Don't worry. Gator Tim, I'm not sure. Is this in response to my Nashawn Montgomery question earlier? You said thumb, and he struggled to sign autographs, had brace that covered thumb. I'm going to assume you might be talking about Nashawn Montgomery, and then D. Latham 21 comes in and says Montgomery was holding that arm/shoulder still very after the game, but he didn't have a brace on or anything. So, okay, I'm not really sure, but there we go. Mary Gator, did freshman Woods get in at defensive end? He did. Let me see if I can get his final stats for you. Woods, 1 tackle, 1 quarterback hurry. Trying to say anybody else. Jalen Wiggins, 2 tackles. He had the 2, and then the 1 sack, as I mentioned earlier. 1 tackle for loss. But yeah, Woods was probably the most heralded freshman we were hearing about all spring. So he was there. He's part of that orange defense that, for Miles Graham being out there, Jaden Robinson being out there, Sharif Denson, LJ McCray, Jordan Castell, Cormani McLean. And it was, and Devin Moore. It was, I don't think they played up to their potential. They certainly didn't. I mean, the starting offensive line and the running backs for Florida certainly had their way for most of the day. Ledoux, thank you much. Thank you so much. Okay. Whew. Taylor Holland, this class of freshmen really does just feel different. Think Billy hit his spots this class. Big time playmakers. This really does feel like, just watching the way they run, like we could have 3 major impact receivers, first round potential, kind of like an Ohio State effect. Man, if Dallas Wilson's anything close to Jeremiah Smith, sign me up. I mean, everybody's going to sign up for that, right? But that's hard to do. Jeremiah Smith is a special receiver. We saw it last year. Give me anything close to that, and I am smiling ear to ear. DJ Lagway smiling ear to ear. Billy Napier smiling ear to ear. Billy Gonzalez is smiling ear to ear. Kyle, I joked with Napier about that after the game. Billy wearing white and blue felt like a new era. So he was sitting there signing autographs, and I wanted to thank him for coming on, the podcast a few months ago. I joked. Of course, I asked him about wearing black all the time on the podcast, and of course, I noticed him wearing the white and blue jacket too. So I got a quick second with him, And I joked around with him and said, "Yeah, Coach, I got you out of that black, didn't I? There you are wearing there you are wearing these colors." So he got a good kick out of that. But Kyle says, "Billy, wearing white and blue felt like a new era. The black shirts were somber, symbolizing a rebuild. Now we have a roster that can truly compete at the top and is fun." He gave an explanation of why he wears black. So on the podcast. So Muddy Water said, "If you saw Stubbs today, then you know why Gregory Smith transferred." Yeah, I was. Like I said, I really wish we could watch a replay. I want to watch more Stubbs because, as I said, his name was out there a lot. Of course, a lot of tackles today. He was around the ball. I wanted to see more of Lagonza Hayward too. Just hope we can get some more out there. Kyle Hines, Woods almost caught up to K-Jack on the run, on the Jacoby Jackson run. Impressive motor. Taylor Hollins, that's a preview of Russ Callaway really making an impact on this offense. Maybe so. I mean, I don't think Napier is calling any plays today. If and take that for what it's worth. Ken Chomp, he asked, "Where's the box score located?" It is a media link for the working media, Ken. So sorry, not really supposed to share that. I apologize. All right. Good stuff, guys. Thanks for hopping in. I know, wasn't sure, like I said, I really wanted to go live from the stadium today. Decided to go ahead and just make the drive to Jacksonville and put this out for you guys. Really good day. Woke up about 6 o'clock this morning, rode down to Gainesville, hung out in Harmonic Woods for a little bit, a little small group of us, much smaller, much more subdued than we usually are. If you've been there, you definitely know. Then went back to where I parked. The high top guys were there, Shelton and Dave. And Dave, I usually see him a good bit too. So many of you I said hello to out there. So I don't want to single anybody out, except for one. Me and Silk got together today and had a great discussion. I'll leave it at that if you know the history, but we're moving past that. So certainly glad that happened. Certainly thinking we'll probably be linking up sometime soon in podcast form. So certainly good to see Silk again and get all that stuff squared away. I don't want to make too much more out of that, but I'm glad we're where we're at. But good day, really good day, and then heading into the stadium, and like I said, seeing all this offense explode, I thought was certainly a lot more fun than the defense stalwart and certainly limiting an offense. So I'll take what we saw today. Hopefully the Gators got better. Great celebration for the basketball team. One more time to celebrate that team. It's been a fun ride the last few weeks, and glad we got to there in front of 55, 60,000 people, give them their kudos one more time. That'll do it. For this Orange and Blue 2025 recap. We'll continue spring coverage a little bit. The new coaches, Robert Bala, Vinny Sinceri, Darren Wilson, they spoke to the media on Thursday. Of course, it's not a lot of time for a turnaround. We'll hear from them this coming up week on Gators Breakdown we'll put a bow on spring a bit too, but we want to hear from the new coaches. So and see what they got to say. So I still got to go back and listen to it. It's been a busy week, of course. So we'll kind of continue that, and maybe whatever else Billy Napier had to say after the spring game, what some of the players had to say after the spring game as well. So we'll wrap up spring this coming up week here on Gators Breakdown. I'm your host, David Waters. You can find me on social media at GatorDave_SEC. Guys and girls out there, thank you for joining me on this episode of Gators Breakdown.